another each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Hello. And Facebook working like a beast. It let me know I was going live before the theme song was done. So I'm going to get my fan real quick. So I felt the need to talk out of a family afterwards. It's one of those chapters, family afterwards, to wives, to employers. Those are some of the chapters we tend to kind of skip, but we shouldn't. There's a lot of information in those chapters, not just for us, but for employers and wives and the family. All right. See, this is it's a family disease, right? And therefore the family needs to be included. And I have my own experience around that. And the main thing that I would probably say around the whole thing is get rid of any expectations and do not compare yourself to other people and how it's going for them, because you will disappoint yourself. Right? And I have 4 kids. Not all of them want to talk to me all the time. Okay? But, you know, as time goes by, our relationships get better. I pretty much stay out of my children's life. It's their life, man. And they don't want dad sticking his fingers in it, right? They want to do it themselves. They want to find it out for themselves, things like that. So even though there's things that I could say that could help my daughter, it would fall on deaf ears, unfortunately. Nice. All right. That was my friend Ryan. He works. Hey, bud. That must be Shane. He works with homeless too. So we were going to sit down and do a podcast on, we're going to go live and do a podcast or something, talk about the homeless situation, what it is that we're doing, taking some callers, things like that. So yeah, that'll be fun stuff. There's starting to feel a little overwhelmed. I can tell by the way you talk. You're the only one that calls me bud. Hey, Jill, good to see you. And thank you, by the way, Jill, for letting Mike borrow your guitar. That was pretty cool of you. While he's there, he may not remember. Talk to him about CBD. I want him on some CBD. He has some things that are going on. He doesn't want to do the meds and all that other stuff, but that's a different conversation. So, hi, Paula. Good to see you. Excuse me. But yeah, I was in a meeting and they read out of the family afterwards, and that kind of caught me. So I'm like, okay, I'll go home. And I had a pretty good talk with a friend of mine, Chris. Yeah, it's been a tough fucking road this last year, but we're making it. So let's get to the reading. Again, I'm going to just go straight to the book. Otherwise, we will repeat what we are saying. Right. It's hard to find a good place to start. All right. I'm actually going to go back one page. Okay. The head of the household ought to remember that he is mainly to blame for what befell his home. He can scarcely square the account in his lifetime, but he must see the danger of the over-concentration on financial success. Although financial recovery is on the way for many of us, we found we could not place money first. For us, material well-being always followed spiritual progress. It never preceded. So what they're talking about now is when we get into the program, sometimes we will jump on one or two wagons. Either we take the program or money, right? And we tend to maybe overdo it. Hey, Gary. Um, and we might tend to overdo that. Since the home has suffered more than anything else, it is well that a man exert himself there. He is not likely to get far in any direction if he fails to show unselfishness and love under his own roof. We know there are difficult wives and families, but the man who is getting over alcoholism must remember he did much to make them so. So the biggest, when I got sober, the one thing that I really wanted to do was make amends to my wife because I felt like a big fucking jerk. And my sponsor said, "No, Dion, you're not going to go apologize to your wife. You're not going to go say sorry because you're going to fuck that up too." Right? And he's right. With the faculties that I had and the tools that I had at that time, I wasn't capable of doing that. And I had to be honest with myself. He said, so Dion, instead, what you're going to do is you're going to go home and you're going to do dishes. You're going to sweep the floor. You're going to take out the trash. You're going to help around the house. If something needs to be done, you don't just do it. You go ask your wife and ask her if it needs to be done or if she wants to do it herself. Because I was not the head of the household, and it was not for me to come back and take that job back. I'll let you know now, my wife is much better at running a household than I am. She still runs the household. Yep, I'm going to put this up. Congratulations, Gary. 9 months. It's a good job, man. And he's lost a ton of weight. Gary, when you have a second, why don't you tell us how much weight you've lost? Because I'd like to hear the total number. And I know you got it. So as each member of a resentful family begins to see his shortcomings and admit them to others, he lays a basis for helpful discussion. So, yeah, essentially what you want to do is just be an example, man. You can't do it any other way. My kids were not going to believe the words that were coming out of my mouth until I had some time under my belt. Because the only real apology is changed behavior. 90 pounds, man. Right fucking on. Right on. Good job, Gary. I know it's 89, but I'm going to go with 90. So the family may have their own short. Of course they do. They're human beings that hung out with you for years. Oh, they have some. But it is up to them when and how to discover that. Remember, I said I stay out of their lives. Okay? Not everybody's like that. You might have a different relationship with your kids. Unfortunately, I was an absentee father. Not much I can do about that. All right. My grandkids, on the other hand, love the hell out of me. So, is it grandkid weekend? I think it is. Ooh. All right. These family talks will be constructive if they can be carried on without heated argument, self-pity, self-justification, or resentful criticism. In other words, no name calling and no particulars. Oh, I can't do that, Dion. Exactly. Does it work out this way sometimes? Yeah, a lot of times if you've been through treatment and they had family day and things like that and the kids want to be involved. What I did is I offered my kids to go to Alateen. They went to Alateen. They went to Alateen for a little bit. My wife attended Al-Anon so that they could get their own description and figure out how they wanted to go about it. Little by little, mother and children will see they ask too much, and the father will see he gives too little. Giving rather than getting will become the guiding principle. Assume, on the other hand, that father has, at the outset, a stirring spiritual experience. Overnight, as it were, he is a different man. He becomes a religious enthusiast. Yeah. He is unable to focus on anything else. As soon as his sobriety begins to be taken as a matter of course, the family may look at their strange new dad with apprehension, then with irritation. There is talk about spiritual matters morning, noon, and night. He may demand the family find God in a hurry or exhibit amazing indifference to them and say he is above worldly considerations. All right, this is dangerous in and of itself. You are not bigger than or better than anyone. Neither am I. We're all children of God. God doesn't have any grandchildren. And that she had better get his brand of spirituality while there is still yet time. No. Mm-mm. Didn't that happen way in my house? But here's the thing. That's why we get a sponsor. Because a sponsor will stop you from doing those things. Well, they're going to tell you not to do them. You're probably going to turn around and do them anyway, though. You are. That's how we learn. When father takes this tack, the family may react unfavorably. Who wants to have anything shoved down their throat, man? Okay. Don't you think we've already been demanding and telling our kids and all this other stuff enough? Don't you think it's about time we just be an example? Right? And that's going to take some time for it to be good enough for you. So, what is the key? Give yourself time. They may be jealous of a God who's stolen dad's affections. While grateful that he drinks no more, they may not like the idea that God has accomplished the miracle where they failed. When I got sober, my kids couldn't get, they were ready to leave the house because now dad was paying attention. And they didn't like that. So they got away with a lot of stuff when I was drinking. They often forget father was beyond human aid. They forget that too. Now remember, they have their own stuff going on, just like you did at their age. They may not see why their love and devotion did not straighten him out. And that, my friends, can be a hard one. But I'm going to let you know something. And you guys, this is no secret. I got sober for my wife and kids. They saved my fucking life. And I let them know that. They understand that I do recovery for myself. I do. It doesn't work any other way. I have to do, I had to make that switch eventually, didn't I? To start staying sober for myself. Because then that's really when the work starts. But my wife's love and devotion is what finally convinced me to make that switch. So I don't necessarily agree with this because my experience is a little bit different. So doesn't mean that it's incorrect. It's just a matter of experience. Dad is not so spiritual after all, they say. If he means to right his past wrongs, Wild is concerned for everyone in the world but his family. What about his talk? God will take care of them. They suspect father is a bit balmy. He is not so unbalanced as they might think. Many of us have experienced dad's elation. We have indulged in the spiritual intoxication. The spiritual intoxication, we call it the pink cloud. Like a gaunt prospector, belt drawn over the last ounce of food, our pick struck gold. Joy at our release from a lifetime of frustration knew no bounds. Father feels he has struck something better than gold. For a time, he may try to hug the new treasure to himself. He may not see at once that he has barely scratched a limitless load, which will pay dividends only if he mines it for the rest of his life and insists on giving away the entire product. If the family cooperates, Dad will soon see that he is suffering from a distortion of values. He will perceive that his spiritual growth is lopsided, that for an average man like himself, a spiritual life which does not include his family obligations may not be so perfect after all. If the family will appreciate that Dad's current behavior is but a phase of his development, all will be well. In the midst of an understanding and sympathetic family, these vagaries, our Dad's spiritual infancy, will disappear quickly. Now are you kind of seeing, are you seeing why you have to do it for yourself? That last part kind of explains it. We do eventually start doing it for ourselves because we have to become a different person. And that spiritual high we're on is a good start. I can be doing great work in the program, applying it at meetings and service activities, and find that things have gone to pieces at home. Are you practicing all these principles in all your affairs? I expect my loved ones to understand, but they cannot. I expect them to see my value, to see and value my progress, but they don't unless I show them. Yeah, you got to do the work. Hey, thank you, Paula. Way to put it. I like how that's put. We have to stay spiritual fit in order to keep what we have and give it away. That's right. It's the only way to keep it. All right, right, Jill? She was like, paradoxes. I know what's going through her head. I said, do I neglect their needs and desires for my attention and concern? When I'm around them, am I irritable or boring? Are my amends a mumbled sorry, or do they take the form of patience and tolerance? Do I preach to them trying to reform or fix that? Have I ever really cleaned house with them? The spiritual life is not a theory. We have to live it. I'm just going back over this to see if I do any of this, which I don't. Now, usually when I see my kids, I got nothing but good things to say to them now. I'm proud of them. Hell, my son has 2 more years sobriety than I do from meth. How can I be mad at the guy? Turned his life around. Kind of work he does is he's not much different from me. What he does is he goes around, he busts pedophiles. Perfect man for the job. And he's very smart, so he's good at it. And he's an ex-bullshitter, so you ain't gonna be able to bullshit him either. Right? My daughter's got 2 kids. Beautiful, beautiful kids. She's raising them very well. Don't much appreciate her drinking, but what am I gonna do? And then I have 2 stepdaughters. One stepdaughter is married to my son, which doesn't surprise me. If you saw my relationship with me and my wife, it's quite understandable why those 2. And it was funny to watch my family when we told. Oh my gosh, they eventually came around. And then my oldest stepdaughter, I don't have enough great things to say about her. Um, and it's funny because I thought she would be the last one to come around, but she was the first one, which gave me a lot of hope because she's a Leo. And when you heard a Leo, man, it could take a long time. So when she came around and gave me a side hug and started doing some things for me, that's how I knew that what I was doing was correct. Because my children were letting me know. Now they treat me differently. They don't treat me like a dumbass. They actually ask me questions. We spend time. We have fun together, man. So, yeah, don't forget about the family. All right. I think that's going to be it. So, thank you everybody for being here. I appreciate it. Good job. Good job, Gary. It's good having you here. Jill, Paula. Hell, my whole team's here. Shannon, Jill, Gary, Shane. All right. I love you guys. Peace out and have a day.